Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
This just in, we've discovered Madge.
Yeah.
And the Palmolive ad.
Palmolive was the best. There wasn't anything better.
I'm sure you used a lot of Palmolive.
No, but you saw it. You saw it every day.
I'm sure you used a lot of Palm. All right. It is Tuesday. All of our guests today are brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub, one of Victoria's favorite local pubs, located 10 minutes from the ferry terminal. The two-time #1 pub in Victoria invites you to see why they're a go-to watering hole. The Waddling Dog, the best place for all of your Canucks, NHL, NFL action, MLB, NBA, with extended hours so you don't have to miss any of the action. Come sit and stay at the Waddling Dog. With that, we bring in TSN Hockey Scouting Director Craig Button. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I didn't miss the Palm reference.
We were bringing up the old Palmolive ad with Madge. You're soaking in it. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure you remember.
See these? I do. See these hands? Soft. Palmolive.
Palmolive. I knew something was up there. Good for you. Hey, Craig, on all seriousness now, Gino Odjick, what are your memories of the late, great Gino Odjick?
I'm so happy that we get a chance to talk about Gino. So I saw Gino play junior hockey, and you know what you saw with Gino, and I think it's the same thing that Vancouver Canucks fans saw for a long time. Gino was all in for the team. He had this great enthusiasm for playing the game. He had a great passion for being part of a team, and he had a great desire to protect the team. And you put all that together, that's why he was beloved. He was beloved as a teammate. He was beloved as a person, because that's all that Gino wanted to do. He wanted to find some way to make sure that he could help the team be successful. He had great joy playing the game. He played it with great passion. And, you know, he was a rugged customer. He was somebody that, you know, said, hey, listen, you're on my team. I got your back. And if you take advantage of anybody on my team, you're going to have to deal with me. And, you know, we talk about teammates and what makes a great teammate. Gino Odjick, and you don't have to take my word for it, all his teammates that played with him over the years will tell you the exact same thing. And that's what Gino Odjick was about. And from the first time I saw him in junior hockey to the last time he played in the NHL and all the days after that, a great teammate.
Craig, we look at fights now differently because of what we know from a medical point of view. But why is it that tough guys of the past are looked upon so very fondly by fans, media, teammates, all of that?
Well, the way I would portray it, Donnie, is this way. You know, when you see, and I'm not suggesting that opponents were bullies, but when you see a bully picking on somebody, right, you want somebody to come and stand up to the bully, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's just a part of human nature. I don't care if it's on the school playground or it's in some other situation. You want somebody to stand up to the bully. You want somebody to stand up to the perpetrator. And, you know, we can discuss whether a clean hit deserved that or whatnot. But that's why those players, because they were going to stand up for their teammates and they were going to, you know, send a clear message to opponents. You're not doing that to our team. You're not doing that to my teammates. You know what? You want to play good, honest, hard hockey. That's the way it's going to be. But you're not going to take advantage. You're not going to, you know, take liberties with our players, any player. And certainly the star players. And the respect went both ways. I mean, there was great respect from opponents for those players. And, you know, there was great respect from those, you know, Gino Odjick's teammates and others like that, because you knew you could always count on them. Mm-hmm. You know, you think about how many minutes they played, and it wasn't, in a lot of cases, it wasn't a lot of minutes, but they were always attuned to what was going on. And they were always ready to come in and be the person that, you know, interceded in anything there where they thought that their teammates were being taken advantage, where they could give their team some type of a boost. And that's part of human nature for somebody to look out for you when you might feel a little bit vulnerable. And that happens in hockey, it happens in life. And to know that you have somebody that's going to have your back, so to speak, that's why they're beloved. And they did a job that was not easy. And you know, we talk about the repercussions from what they did. we know that now. We see that fighting is down at all levels, but make no mistake about it. Those players were ready to sacrifice it, as are the players today to a great extent that do it in a different way.
Craig, what a week in Vancouver. Tons of news to get to. First, I want to get your thoughts on Quinn Hughes talking about Tanner Pearson's injury and kind of saying it was mishandled. What are your thoughts when a player talks about another player's injury and says it was mishandled?
Well, we just talked about having each other's back, right? So here's Quinn Hughes in a very different regard, having Tanner Pearson's back.
Yeah.
When I first started as a manager, Rick, I was golfing with Serge Savard. And Serge Savard said to me, he goes, Craig, one thing you got to always keep in mind as a manager, you got to know what's going on. You got to have your finger on the pulse. The players aren't going to come and tell you. But understand, he said, they always know what's going on and they always know first. And he said, never underestimate what the players know. Because if you start to, thinking that they don't know what's going on, you're making a huge mistake. And it's another example of the dysfunction that's going on with the Vancouver Canucks. Because Quinn Hughes it's not just sticking up for Tanner Pearson. He's sticking up for every one of his teammates by saying, wait a sec, this is mishandled. Do you want the next situation to be mishandled? What happens if it gets mishandled in a different situation? So, Quinn has everybody's back there again. And it's a perfect example of the players know, and to Serge's point, they always know first.
Yeah, no question. Okay, Craig, we're hearing Rick Tocchet's name potentially in the next week or two as the new head coach of the Canucks. How tough is this on Bruce, Craig? I know we're going to say it's professional sports, coaches are hired to be fired, but this is really a tough situation.
Okay, so let me just ask you this, Rick.
Yep.
Okay, so it's professional sports, right? So that means personal decency and professional decency goes out the door? It's deplorable what Jim Rutherford is doing to Bruce Boudreau. And it's been going on since last spring. And let me emphasize the word, deplorable. The thin book on human relations. I don't care how much money you make. That's the way you treat people. And Bruce Boudreau, you think about when he came into the Vancouver Canucks organization. The spirits were down of the team and the players. The fan base were disgusted. And you look at what he did, the excitement that ensued when he took over the team. And understand that coming off of that great year last year and what that great run by Bruce, that's how he was treated. And he's been in it, and the treatment has been, in my view, so disappointing to watch. And there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for it. And I've said this. You want to change the coach? That's under your prerogative. You're the president of hockey operations. You can go and do that, and you can do everything that people don't have. But to carry this on while he's our coach for now and everything. And let's be very clear here. Jim Rutherford's running the show here. Patrick Alvin's not running the show. Jim Rutherford. This falls right on Jim Rutherford's thing. I said it today. The Canuck buck stops at Jim Rutherford's desk. No place else. Deplorable what he's doing to Bruce Boudreau.
What goes through your mind when you hear, and Jim Rutherford had a press conference yesterday, when you hear Jim Rutherford, much like Jim Benning did all that time ago, Craig, talk about a retool versus a rebuild for the Vancouver Canucks?
Well, okay, so retool, rebuild. Use whatever word you want. I think the most accurate assessment that Jim Rutherford offered yesterday was the assessment of his own poor performance. Because there's no other word for it. It's been an abysmal performance. And, as a general manager, you come in, and it's not about what your job is you got the job because you want to see improvement. That team took significant steps ahead under Bruce Boudreau. And everybody that was paying attention in hockey knew that they had to get better defensemen to be a better team. Jim Rutherford failed. So when he assessed his own performance yesterday, I was pretty impressed because I think he gets an A for assessing his own F failure.
Honesty at the very least. Hey, Connor McDavid says he's not a fan of shootouts. Do you know where he's coming from? Do you agree with him?
Okay, I understand, the shootout. I had this discussion with Ken Hitchcock over the years, same thing. So do you know what I would say? Well, then don't let it get to a shootout. If you don't like shootouts, don't let it get to a shootout.
No one leaves the building.
I'll tell you this story. I was a manager when we were having all these discussions about new rules and, settling games, and the shootout came into play. And you know what? You're thinking about the shootout and you're going, oh, really? The first shootout I saw was in Vancouver. It was there. I remember coming down, and I was standing behind the net. So it was behind Luongo's net in Vancouver. And I remember standing there watching the shootout, and I looked up. Every single fan was on their feet. They were cheering. There was anticipation. And at that moment in time, I said, the shootout's a great idea to decide games. So if you don't like the shootout, just don't let it get to a shootout.
Strong words all around, Craig. Thanks so much for this. Keep soaking those hands in palm olive, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.